Recommendations from the Maori Committee. Mr. Mohi, do you wish to speak? I see one of my compatriots there is representing KE, which is a good move. So.
Yes, there's just a few queries around how the individual tai whenua select the members. And this has come through some queries from the Regional Planning Committee, some of the members there, questioning how, in particular, Ahuriri members are selected. So I need to get Viv to make some recommendations on that, and it may be different.
I don't recall any discussion on that at the Regional Planning Committee.
So I'm just giving you my thoughts.
Oh.
In relation to the appointment of Dwayne Coleshaw as the Kahungunu Executive Representative, putting it in context. So can I just explain that? That there may be a query of, as the Kahungunu Executive Representative. So some of the, just putting it into context, how come it that he is representing that? So the context to that is that we've lost a little bit of sight of what is the criteria for tai whenua to put forward members and who selects who. Is that clear, Councillor?
Clear. I just don't recall any discussion around it because I know there's.
Sorry, it may have come in the pre-meeting discussion.
Oh, those
sorry.
secret pre-ones.
Those ones, yes. No Pākehā allowed. The three Lake Tūtira, Karamu and Environment Schools were wonderful items on the agenda, especially the Karamu enhancement strategy. And there has been talk going back to the meeting at Kohupātiki about the Ngāruaroa name change. And so I realise I'm crossing meetings here. There was a question from a councillor about the name, which has been brought up at Maori Committee meetings, and I dodged the question. I apologise for that. But there is a little bit of concern from Kohupātiki and Ruahapia on who has the say. And just note that change of route was pre-RMA and also pre-Councillor Graham. Thank you.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah, just...
sorry, Councillor Hewitt.
Oh, okay. For Mr. Mohi. Kahungunu Executive Wairo, Bill Blake, and then Kahungunu Executive Dwayne Coleshaw. What are there two distinct organisations there, or
yes, that was what I was trying to ask of what's her name, the HR person, Viv, to give an explanation of how each individual tai whenua has authority to nominate members. So I was unsure of that myself.
So is Bill Blake representing a tai whenua?
And that was going to be my question to Viv. How are these individual members selected? Because I've been getting some flack from Ahuriri about who's representing them on the regional planning, on the Maori Committee.
Actually, so just to follow up on that, if we move and accept this now, what challenge does that put on if Viv comes back and says actually shouldn't have happened?
Well, given that there's only, I think, 2 more meetings for the year, I don't think you'd go into too much debate.
No. Okay, no, that's...
So the Runanga has a seat as a...
No, Alan, I can't answer the question, I'm afraid, because there's a crossover and each tai whenua has got a different way of selecting it. It's gone away from the original so-called agreement.
I think Councillor Dick's point is that it's gone from 12 to 13 representatives, so there's an additional appointment, isn't there, over and above each of the, if you like, the various rohi that that are represented. Dwayne's appointment is more overarching.
Yeah, I understand there was supposed to be 12, so,
Well, there's 13.
they just can't count.
Councillor Hewitt.
I have 3 questions. Thanks for you, Liz. What has been amended in here? We don't have any track and change references.
So the first one, sorry, through you, Mr. Chairman, the number of representatives has changed, so you see that in bold and italics, and then over on the page, over the top of the next page, it's just the actual addition to the list of Mr. Coleshaw and Ms. Palmer as proxy for that, and then underneath that you've got some clarification around the changes to those appointments, so that so while you had on the front page those who were the names of those who were appointed to the committee when it was established following the 2013 election, over the page from the 18th of December onwards you've got those changes to that. So Mr. Blake now is appointed as a Wairau Tai Whenua representative as replacement for Sean Haraki.
What are the financial implications of the change to the terms of reference?
Some small additional increase in the meeting fee requirements. I think the meeting fee is $260 per meeting per person attending. So there'll be...
so 260 by 6, is it?
If there's five
Five
meetings,
meetings.
yes.
But given that the ahuriri usually don't come with the full complement, so that nullifies that.
And how does this tie in with the legislative requirements of the Maori Committee?
Well, there are no legislative requirements as such. The Maori Committee is one that the council has had established since the early 1990s, and is something that is each term of council, they decide whether or not to, as part of their consideration of the committee structure of council, whether or not to continue with it. So this has had some changes to its terms of reference in regarding its responsibilities given the establishment of the Regional Planning Committee. But this committee is entirely at the discretion of the Regional Council, and it's not governed by any legislation, unlike the Regional Planning Committee.
Okay. I just notice a slow creep in terms of numbers. We get a creep with the hearings committee and the Maori representatives in there, and then we get a creep here. So so what is the implications of us saying no to this today? What are the implications?
I'm not the chairman of the council.
A revolt, probably.
I've got another.
That's quite serious.
Yeah, it is quite serious, and I can't answer that.
And actually neither can I. It's just a pity
Other
Mr. Ball's
than
not here.
potentially $500 more, or just over, for the next 2 meetings. That's the implication, financially.
But, Mr Chairman, one of those meetings is in Central, so we won't be getting a full contingent of the members anyway. So I think it'll all cancel itself out.
Yeah, and I think, well, I will ask Mr Mohi, this Maori Committee construct, etc., is under not so much review, but there is a focus on it at the moment to make sure we've got the appropriate mechanism to represent the Tai Whenuas, etc. Is that correct? Yeah, okay.
I've got another question, and it's only really to clear up confusion in my mind. Confirms the appointment of Mr Sean Haraki as Deputy Chairman, but he's not on the list.
That's a chronological order of what happened previously.
Eh?
You're talking about page 22.
Yeah.
That's just, you've
Oh,
got
December.
December 13, and you've got January 15, April 16. It's just showing what has happened in the past.
Sorry, didn't read it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone happy to take us to the motion? Oh, you have a question?
Is the next meeting?
At the Ungentlemen's Club.
Is
Gentlemen's Club, I mean.
there a
It's-
gentleman's club in Central?
It's going to Waipark, go through the 4th set of lights.
We're not going to a marae.
No, we're not. It's in Waipukurau.
And why aren't we going to
Immediately before the left of the Celtics,
Okay. And my next question is, why aren't we going to a marae?
because we just want to go there.
Thank you, sir. Is someone happy to second that? Thank you, Councillor Pipe. You wish to speak about the Gentlemen's Club or any other items?
Yes.
You wish to speak?
What we've found over the last 15 years that I've been involved with the Maori Committee is the problem if you're taking it to a marae, it's inclined that the other's marae says it's their hui. And even at Kohupāriki, the other maraes don't like going along there and raining on their parade. So we go to a neutral venue such as the Gentlemen's Club. It gets away from that. We had one at Prongaho, and the only people that turned up, the only Maoris that turned up, were the Ngāti Kere lot. So that's the reason, sir.
No, the speakers put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Recommendations from E&S Committee on page 20. What are we? 29. Need my glasses. Mr. Councillor Graham, you wish to?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We had a very successful meeting at Kohupāriki Marae. I'm not sure how many other maraes turned up, but it looked like in the initial stage we had quite a good audience there. We agreed to spend nearly $45,000 to tidy up the Karamu adjacent to the marae. It's quite a big thing for us because it's definitely a short-term thing in reference to Matatini being there, and hopefully we're going to get some scientific or future reference from that exercise. We also agreed to forward the $500,000 which we had allocated to Te Mata Park, and I just want to publicly thank Councillor Dick for expediting that debate. Without him, the meeting would have gone on probably a lot longer, and I thought, so we really appreciated his intervention there. We had a report on Tongoyo soil conservation, agreed to transfer $100,000 of the funds which we are holding into the hands of the trusts that are doing that. So that's a beginning of a new era, really. We had a biosecurity report on pest management, especially in relationship to Cape to City, and the other issues, photosanitary, of course, as well. We also had a report which we were going to do on the Upper Tuki, which was tabled, and Mr. Ailey was asked to have a cup of tea with the councillor from Central Hawke's Bay, and hopefully that has happened, just so that we can get that report up and going again. Other minor matters, not minor, but as I said, the Cape to City and the land science update, we had a very good report on that. These are issues, a lot of these issues are huge, that are in front of us. We're probably on most of them underfunded, and it's very difficult to tackle these issues because they're so big. Any questions?
Councillor Dick.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Councillor, I recall that in regard to the Upper Tuki, which the resolution was to lie on the table, but there was a separate resolution proposed by myself that, I can't remember the exact wording, that staff take into account the RWSS consent condition that required the extraction for beach nourishment of a certain quantity. I think it's around about 7,800 cubic metres per annum. I believe that was a resolution and that it was passed. But
and it was a resolution of that committee, but was not a resolution to council.
Pardon?
Was not necessarily a resolution to council. It's for that committee to deal with when it goes back, in my understanding, when it goes back to deal with that item that's been left on the table.
Well,
That's the way I
Is
would
it
see
in the-
it, but
is-
if I'm open to your view on that, Councillor Dick.
I would have thought it would. Been in
I
here.
do recall that. We do have the minutes. We have them here, don't we? Are they? Yes, we do. Presumably that's recorded in those minutes.
Which haven't been confirmed yet, but. Well, do you wish to move this in and add that in as a separate?
Well, I think so. Otherwise, it's likely to get lost, isn't it?
Okay.
There's a possibility it'll get
So,
lost.
are there any other questions first?
Yeah.
Mr. Moyer.
So it has to be a question. So do you realise that Ngāwhenarahui is funding another 5,000 trees for their nourishment program at Kōhupāriki?
No, but I acknowledge and very grateful for that. Well done.
So, Chief
Oh,
Executive.
Mr.
what do we
Chairman,
think
just
about
while
that?
the minutes are being, or the recommendations, I beg your pardon, are being amended, could we also just amend number 8? I did overlook that in the proofread before this went to bed. 2016-17 financial year, please, not 16-16. Thank you.
Makes more sense. Okay. So, to the resolutions, unless there's other questions. Oh, Councillor Balfour, do you have a question? No, you're all good. Okay. You're happy to move, Councillor Dick, with the addition of that resolution, which will read.
That staff take into account the RWSS consent condition that requires the extraction of approximately 7,800 cubic metres annually.
We've actually got the minute here. You can change that
Or I'll just take it from the minute then.
Okay. I will chuck that in as well. Okay.
Can I ask a procedural question here?
Yes.
Am I hearing this right? And that is that because the minutes weren't confirmed, there's no automatic requirement to put that into the report. Because if that's the interpretation we're going to be in a slight amount of difficulty.
Well, hang on. I don't think it's quite as clear as that.
That's what I've heard, though.
No.
The through you, Mr. Chairman. So what happens after at a committee meeting or following a committee meeting is that there are the recommendations on decision items that have been made by the committee are put to council for a resolution. So,
Yep.
and that clearly happens before the next meeting of that next committee to confirm
Correct.
the minutes. In this particular case, my understanding is that that Upper Tukituki scheme review was an actual, just an information item for you, and it wasn't, or for the committee, I beg your pardon, and wasn't seeking a resolution from council to council. Would that be right?
No.
No.
You weren't there, were you?
No.
Can I just say that it would seem to me that when a committee meeting is held, any decision that committee makes should be passed up to the committee for the council meeting for consideration. Right. But if it is simply a matter of oversight, well, I'm happy with that. But if the proposal was coming back that it was because the minutes had not been agreed to, it was not there. Because that was what was said, well, I'd object to that. But if it's just an oversight, I accept that. Yep.
Sorry for the misunderstanding. Councillor Hewitt.
I just think it's important to acknowledge that the 44,500 that is going towards work around Kaupatiki Marae is from within existing budgets, so it's not a new grant.
Hiratonga Plains Scheme.
And author, your view on that? Happy to add that out of existing budgets? Okay.
Do you want me to put this up?
Yeah, chuck that up, just so we're clear. Okay, so that becomes, help me here, Chief Executive, 10.1.2, does it, or something? Okay, and the addition of the words, the mover's happy with that, out of existing budgets for the previous page. So someone happy to second that? Councillor Graham, are you happy to second that? Yeah. Wish to speak further? Councillor Dick, Councillor Graham, other speakers? Put that motion, all those in favour?
That I had some personal trepidations about going to Kohupatiki because of the fact that my hearing is not 100%. It's very good in that ear, but it's not very good in that one. But the outcome was that I actually could hear better in the marae than I can here. So I see that the Joint Plan Committee is scheduled for there, so very happy with that. Maybe we can just shift the council over there.
I'm sure they would, they'd agree with that. No other speakers, I'll put the motion, all those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no, carried. Now, what's going to go to H, but